welcome everyone to a new episode of Super Grapple Bros, podcast about two former WWE employees who happen to be brothers and love both wrestling and video games. Here this week, I am your main host this week, DMurph, along with
Murpho. As you can tell from my voice, I am under the weather. I am sick, but fighting through it. Going to do the podcast with it, but I'm letting DMurph handle main hosting ability, so I don't have to talk as much, so you don't hear my horribly raspy and congested voice.
Yep. And this week has a little bit, unfortunately, been a little bit light on number of events for both the wrestling world and video game world, but I'd say the events that have occurred have been pretty eventful. And I guess we'll kick ourselves off with this week on Monday Night Raw, which had a title change on the show, which
did not see this one coming.
Yeah, I don't really know of anyone who saw this coming.
Like, this wasn't just out of left field. This was like out of left field, beyond the park, past the stands. If you're thinking Yankee Stadium, past the subway line, couple blocks down. This was like maybe into the east side of Bronx, all the way to Throgs Neck.
Well, I was gonna say it's like you're in Yankee Stadium and you somehow get a ball from left field of Citi Field.
Yeah, that's a better analogy. Yes. That works better.
And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, that would mean Seth Rollins got a new tag team partner in Jason Jordan, and they defeated Sheamus and Cesaro, the Bar, to become new Raw Tag Team Champions.
And who was that partner?
I already said Jason Jordan.
Oh, I thought you were... Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I went to cough, and I missed the name.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's just the kind of thing that makes you like, why do you have to do a title change already? Like, why so soon? Like, Dean just was injured. Why is it already you have to have Jason Jordan just step in and have a tag title match right away?
Because he's Kurt Angle's son.
True.
And he gets all those opportunities.
Mm-hmm. And this actually has, what's it called? Given Jason Jordan a place in history now.
Why is that?
Because Jason Jordan is the first superstar in WWE history to have held both SmackDown and Raw Tag Team Championships.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his claim to fame.
Mm-hmm.
Good. He needs something because this whole Kurt Angle son storyline is not working out for him.
Yeah, apparently the plan was to continue this whole storyline and do a very slow, like, be whiny, face pouting, turning into a heel run. But with Dean being out, they want someone to basically more or less fill his role as like an upper level face, and they're gonna try and use this to make Jason Jordan bring him up to that level and try to fill in for Dean Ambrose.
Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, you got, Finn Balor not really doing much. Could have thrown him a bone.
Yeah, could have used Finn Balor, Remember when he was the first Universal Champion and it was going to be all cool?
Exactly.
And, you had a big thing planned for him to go over Bray Wyatt and all that stuff. And, you were building him up.
Yeah. And it would have been great storyline-wise, too, because you could have had Seth be like, sorry I cost you your championship by injuring you. Here's a new championship.
Works. Go with it.
But unfortunately, that's not the case, and we now have Jason Jordan as tag team champion with Seth Rollins, which is just all kinds of whack.
And I would like to say hello to Big Stupid in the chat. We will get to your question later when we get to NXT,
yes,
which we are going to be addressing.
Yeah, which probably won't be too long because of the lack of stuff this week.
Yes.
Another thing that happened this week was Asuka announced that she is going to be in the Women's Royal Rumble. And yes, Big Stupid Murpho is sick, which is why I'm taking over main hosting duties this week.
Yeah, I got a pretty bad cold. I had it earlier on in the week when I was doing my gameplay stream, but it wasn't affecting my voice really, and it wasn't that bad. And then it hit me full force yesterday morning, and so I've sounded like this for the last 36 hours.
Lovely. But yeah, Asuka announced herself as being the next entrant in the Royal Rumble, the Women's Royal Rumble, and she apparently scared the pants, not literally, but scared the pants off of Raw Women's Champion Bliss.
Pretty sure everybody in the arena at Raw would have loved it if it was, literally.
Yeah, probably. So that was one thing that happened, and there was a match between Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns for the Intercontinental Championship. And guess who won that match?
Roman. Big Roman looks strong.
No, Samoa Joe won by disqualification because Roman was pissed off about
Finish the
yeah.
topic.
He was pissed off about Joe apparently injuring Dean, and so he was punching away on him. Referee tried to pull him away, and he just kept going, so the referee disqualified him. So Kurt Angle has made it official.
Kurt Angle? Who's Kurt Angle? I know of Kurt Angle, but who is Kurt Angle?
He's Kurt Angle who has a handle on things.
Is he like evil Kurt Angle, but he's got the H because he's got a handlebar mustache?
No, he's like Kurt Angle, but like his head is on the body of a kitten hanging from a tree saying, hang in there.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But he's gotten a handle on things, and he's announced that the first Raw of the new year, not only are we going to be seeing Cedric Alexander versus Enzo Amore for the Cruiserweight Championship, we are also going to see Roman Reigns once again defend his Intercontinental Championship against Samoa Joe, but if he loses by disqualification, he also loses the title in that match.
I hope he loses, just not because of a hate Roman thing, but I think Samoa Joe as Intercontinental Champion would be amazing.
It would be good. I could think of a number of people I'd like to see hold the Intercontinental Championship, but that's also partially because they have so many people that are worthy for titles, and one of them is stuck on a part-timer.
Yeah.
Which is rather unfortunate, but at the same time, it's Bork Laser.
And wasn't Hideo Itami in action on Raw also? He was doing 205 Live things and stuff.
Yeah, he was.
He finally showed up.
That's something that I forgot about. Yeah, he was in action, and apparently he beat what's his name? The Brian Kendrick with a GTS, and he beat him so badly with it that Brian Kendrick went to the hospital and will be out for a minimum of 2 months because of a broken nose and broken orbital socket.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's Japanese strong style for you.
Yep.
I mean, like, to be fair, it's not like CM Punk when he used the move. I mean, technically it was Kenta's move to begin with, but even when CM Punk was using it, he broke his fair share of noses, too.
Mm-hmm. Which
he broke like 3 or 4 people's noses over the course of his time with WWE.
Well, one thing that this actually reminds you of, which is a little bit of a cross between our last topic and this one, there are some people saying that they think they're going to have Hideo stop using the GTS from now on, and as a matter of fact, he actually, on 205 Live, won with the Rings of Saturn, which, another side note, leads people to believe that Neville might not be coming back to WWE since he was using that as a finisher, and they've now moved it on to Hideo. But people have been saying that they might not let Hideo use that anymore because he just injured him. And I look at it as, well, Samoa Joe almost accidentally killed, and once again, accidentally almost killed TJ, Tyson Kidd.
Yep.
By accident with the Muscle Buster, and he still continued to use that in NXT and everything.
I was backstage in Houston when that happened. That was scary as hell.
Oh, I believe it. Most people who saw the x-rays, like I know our friend JJ, his mom's a nurse, his mom saw the x-rays and she's like, this man is dead, isn't he? And he's like, no, he's alive, and he's apparently...
What's amazing is not only was he alive, but he was able to walk out of the arena under his own power.
Yeah.
And like, not only like walk out of the arena on his own 2 feet, but like he was storming out of the arena with Natalya pissed off that he was hurt.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But so that's what happened with them. And speaking of injuries, Paige apparently suffered a minor injury this week. She was in a 6-women tag match. It was her and the rest of Absolution, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, versus, I believe, Sasha Banks, Bailey, and I don't know who the third member was. But the spot was basically Paige was taunting while Sasha was behind her in the corner, and Sasha like lifted herself up on the top rope and like mule kicked Paige in the back, and you just see her head like whiplash back, and she goes to the mat, and you see the referee do the X and everything.
Bad whiplash, just bad whiplash.
Yeah, so apparently it's not so severe that she's gonna miss any time on any shows, but they had to end the match early because of it.
She probably got bad whiplash, and they didn't want to like risk her actually like injuring her neck as a result, and so she probably just has a sore neck for like about a week.
Exactly, and those kinds of things are always pretty scary.
Yeah.
But that was Monday Night Raw and things with the Monday Night Raw crew. Now moving over to SmackDown Live.
SmackDown.
The main thing I wanted to talk about is apparently we now have a tournament for the United States Championship. I'll say this. Big Stupid is saying, can we all agree that Sasha isn't as great as her fanboys think she is? I'm going to say that I think Sasha is great. She's great in the ring. But I have noticed at times she can tend to be sloppy, but at the same time, there's a lot of superstars where if you
nobody's perfect.
There's very few people who are perfect, and those are people like Shawn Michaels.
Even Shawn Michaels isn't perfect.
True, but I'm saying most of the time they're on point, and most of the time she is on point. She happens to slip up.
To be fair, I will defend Sasha to the death because I got to hang out with her backstage and shoot up down episodes with her, so I knew her on a little bit of a personal level. In addition to seeing her wrestle, and like she's just an awesome, really cool, amazing person. In addition to being like one of the best women's wrestlers out there right now, so I will always defend her. I think she is one of the best out there today.
Yeah. I will agree with you there.
And I think that just what happened with Paige was just a mistake. It happens to everybody. Yeah. I mean, how many people is Seth Rollins injured?
Yeah.
We just said how many people did CM Punk? We just mentioned how many noses did he break?
Yeah, well, I mean, with Seth Rollins, it's a little bit more severe, the injuries he's dealt out. But
I mean, if we really want to be racking on people for injuries that may not have entirely been their fault, or they may have screwed up or not thought things through completely, technically, we should all be still bitching at The Undertaker for what he did to Mick Foley at Hell in a Cell.
To be fair, Mick kept coming back for more. But, anyway, there is a tournament going on SmackDown for the United States Championship, and this last Tuesday, we saw the first two matches. The first match was Baron Corbin against Bobby Roode, both of which do have kind of a claim for the championship, seeing as how Bobby Roode did not get pinned in that match that they had, the triple threat match ahead, and Baron Corbin was the last champion, so technically rematch clause and everything, and Bobby Roode came out on top of that. What do you think of that?
It was Bobby Roode against Baron Corbin?
Yep.
That's the right thing to do.
I agree. I would have been okay.
Bobby Roode is glorious. He's up there in age. He doesn't have as much going on.
Oh, big stupid.
He had one Hall of Fame career to get credit for life.
Yeah.
Yep.
That happens. But yeah, so I could have seen that match going either way. I'm happy Bobby won because Bobby is glorious.
Yes, he is glorious. And, like I said, Bobby's I think he's 40 now or in his 40s.
40, yeah.
So, you got to capitalize on him now.
Yeah, he's close.
Baron Corbin is young. He is good. He's going to be around for a while. He already had the championship, and I'm sure he'll be in the mix as soon as this tournament's over. So I think the right decision was made.
You could also do a number of things with him. Now that he's out of the tournament, you could focus on him being a dominant guy going into the Royal Rumble.
Yes.
But the second match, which was already had, was Jinder Mahal against Ty Dillinger. And the winner of that match was Jinder Mahal.
Whoa. I'm glad that, I sound awful. I'm glad that Ty Dillinger was involved in the match. It's giving Ty something to do, because I really haven't seen Ty much on TV or heard his name much, and Ty should be getting attention with regards to the United States Championship.
Agreed.
But when you put him against Jinder Mahal, as much as people want to hate on Jinder Mahal, Jinder was a WWE champion, for the majority of 2017, and he was just challenging in a rematch AJ Styles. So, booking-wise, it makes all the sense in the world for Jinder Mahal to defeat Ty Dillinger.
No matter how sad it may make us.
Yep.
But the other matches that are coming up in the tournament feature Mojo Rawley versus Zack Ryder. I wonder where that's gonna go. And then a person who found out when literally everyone else found out, Xavier Woods versus Aiden English. And when like I said, Xavier Woods found out when it was announced to the public. He was not told beforehand. So he even had a video with Big E, U.S. title, what?
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
I hope Austin wins. I really hope he wins that match. Who is he against? He's up against Aiden?
Yeah, he's up against Aiden English. And here's the thing that upsets me about it. He's probably going to win that match. But then he's up against Jinder Mahal after that.
Yeah, he'll probably lose that one. But it'd be cool to see him win a match. And it would help build him up in his own like single standing, because New Day's never gonna break up and they never should. But it would also be awesome to see each of them like have success at different times
Yeah.
in singles, and this will help to establish Austin if he beats Aiden English and then loses to the former WWE champion but puts up a good fight. That'll be very good for him.
Exactly. And even if he were to somehow go on and win, I wouldn't complain. And it's also a
neither.
matter of
Me neither.
If he's a singles competitor as part of a group that wins a singles title, I mean, there are several factions in WWE history that have survived that easily, and New Day can do that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks to me like it's probably going to end up being in the second round of the tournament, Rude versus Mojo, which I see Rude winning that, and Mahal versus Woods, in which I see Mahal winning that, and then it'll be Rude versus Mahal, and I don't know who they'd have win that.
I hope Bobby Roode, but it's probably going to be Jinder.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way about that.
If they really want to have Jinder be the way that he is, if they're going to keep booking him the way they have over the last year, it'll be Jinder. Or if they've completely been like, okay, we're done with the Jinder Mahal experiment, we're going to use Jinder Mahal to elevate Bobby Roode.
True. Which we can only hope for. Alright, so that's about all I can remember that was really of all that importance with SmackDown Live. And now we move on to what I think was the best show of the week, which was NXT.
NXT.
Which, I'm trying to remember, how exactly did NXT start off again this week?
The Street Profits had their first match in a long time.
Street Profits had another match against random jobbers. And,
I liked it. I liked their... It's my first time seeing the Street Profits in action. Yeah. I haven't watched any of their previous matches, and it was awesome. And, not Angelo Dawkins. I know his name, but I can't remember it. Ford.
Yeah, Montez Ford.
Montez Ford. Oh my God, has he got a beautiful frog splash?
Oh yeah, he does.
He can get air with that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is a frog splash that would make Eddie Guerrero blush.
Yeah. Like, I'm actually getting really excited for NXT and their tag team division because, I mean, you got, right now, Undisputed Era as the champs. You've got Sanity around. You've got Street Profits, which they've been wrestling for a while.
Yep.
You've got one team that they actually feuded with, which I don't think is great, but hey, it's nice to have another heel team around, which is Tino Sabatelli and Riddick Moss. And then, that's right. That's something I forgot about that happened on SmackDown Live.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that, actually.
Big E calling Shelton Benjamin old Jason Jordan. But yeah, there was also...
It's like, Chad, normally you trade in the old model for the new one, not the other way around.
Yeah. But, yeah, and one team that Moss and Sabatelli actually are apparently starting a feud with, which is another good tag team, is Heavy Machinery. And then on top of that, you still got the Authors of Pain hanging around. And then on top of that, you've also got TM61 that are supposed to be coming back. So NXT's tag division is starting to look pretty good again, especially with the Street Profits. They're real good. But yeah, moving on from that, after that we had a women's title match between Sonya Deville and defending champion Ember Moon, which was a pretty good match. I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah.
And right. Then what happened after is where the real news was.
That was real interesting.
With Kairi Sane coming out with her spyglass, looking at Ember Moon, and then more or less calling her out. And then the Queen of Spades made her debut on NXT and choked her out. And man, if that is the match at TakeOver Philadelphia, Ember Moon versus Kairi Sane versus Shayna Baszler, I will be thrilled for that.
Yeah, because I don't think you want to debut Shayna Baszler that strong and then have them have a number one contendership match where Kairi Sane wins. You don't want face versus face, so it's either going to be Dana versus Ember or
Shayna?
Shayna. Yeah, sorry, Shayna.
Get Dana Brooke out of here.
It's either going to be Shayna versus Ember or it's going to be a triple threat match.
Yeah. And I'm hoping for the latter because that would be insane.
Really good.
Yeah, but I'm very excited that Shayna is on NXT now and that she's looking strong. And that's part of the reason why a lot of people think they're not going to be doing four horsewomen at WrestleMania anymore because I can't even remember their names, but Roderick Strong's wife and the fourth member of the Four Horsewomen apparently have stopped with their training for professional wrestling for now.
Oh.
And they've got Shayna Baszler doing this very strong run, or at least looking like she's going to do a strong run in NXT. So it wouldn't really make too much sense for them to rip her away from that to do some kind of angle for WrestleMania.
Maybe, you never know.
You never know, but it does not seem likely.
No, it does not.
Yes, and then after that, we had the Fatal 4-Way match to determine the new number one contender for the NXT Championship, Aleister Black versus Johnny Gargano versus Killian Dane versus Lars Sullivan. And man, did I enjoy that match.
That was a hell of a match. That was awesome.
Yeah, Killian Dane and Lars Sullivan were just like killing each other and everyone else.
As it should be. That splash through the table, that whole sequence with Sullivan where like Gargano and Black were basically hitting him with strong strikes, and then Dane's like, get out of the way, I'm gonna squish him.
Yeah, basically. Oh man, it was so good. That match was so good. And as I had said, which will make great booking.
Yeah, you were right. You're a dick.
Yeah. How am I a dick?
You're a dick because you're right. It's awesome, but I was wrong and you were right, and so you're a dick.
Yes, I was right.
Put that back. This is not a predictions or review. You don't need to touch that right now.
I predicted something and it was right.
Yeah, but you know who predicted things that was right the longest? This guy.
Technically both of us.
Tiebreakers.
But anyway.
Tiebreakers matter.
But yeah, so Undisputed Era came out and attacked Aleister Black, and Adam Cole hit him with that vicious, more or less brainbuster onto his knee.
Yeah, that was vicious.
And, that was good.
That was vicious.
And it cost Aleister Black the match, allowing Johnny Gargano to capitalize and beat him. And it is just an amazing story they've got going on with Johnny Gargano, where he, after the attack from Ciampa came around, was winning some matches with some random people. Then he started getting big matches and was losing them, and even said, I'm tired of just having great matches. I want to win them. And then he comes in and he faces Cassius Ohno, and he has a great match, and he beats him. And now he comes into this Fatal 4-Way, has an amazing match, and pins Aleister Black, the first man ever to pin Aleister Black, to win. And now he's going to go on.
Aleister Black's first loss in NXT and WWE as a whole.
Yes, but, well, no, not in WWE as a whole. His very first match he lost.
Oh, fine. His first loss since is whatever, when his streak is over, whatever.
Yes. And, his first match ever was against Neville in the UK Championship tournament. They were like a little intermediary match between the semifinals and the finals.
That's technically not NXT, though.
That's why I said not on NXT.
Why all the single bits? Thank you for the 50-bit cheer from Big Stupid. When you pull good booking out of thin air, you get bits. That's directed at DMurph.
But yeah,
Look at that tip jar. Look at all those bits.
Yep.
All those bits just filling up the tip jar. That's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, when you said it, I knew you were right, and I knew that was the right decision, but I didn't want to agree with you. I didn't want to be like, let's not have the same prediction. But yeah, you're right. Basically, Black is gonna feud with Adam Cole. Who knows what Roddy Strong's gonna do now?
I think I know what Roddy Strong might do.
Yeah, but we'll get to that in a second. But now we're gonna get Johnny Gargano is gonna probably take Andrade Cien Almas to task, be about to win it when in comes Tommaso Ciampa.
Oh yeah,
to screw him over.
Psycho killer.
Either that, or which I think that's what's gonna happen, or if they really want to make it interesting, Johnny wins and Gargano attacks him afterwards. So that way, Gargano
attacks him
Ciampa. That's what I mean. Sorry. So that way you've got Ciampa versus Gargano for the belt, for the strap, for the title.
You see, what I'm thinking, I'm guessing this isn't what's going to happen, but as a lot of people have thought, they're probably going to do like a superstar shakeup kind of thing after WrestleMania.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking that they're going to do is they're going to have Gargano versus Andrade, and I love the storyline behind it because he tried twice to beat Andrade, and because of Selena Vega with the DIY merch distracting him, he lost. Finally, he's going to have the chance to win, and then Tommaso Ciampa comes out, screws him over, sets him up for a match to settle the score at the TakeOver for Mania.
Would it be good? Sorry, I just want to say this before I forget it because my head. What would be good is if she throws him the DIY shirt again to try and distract him, and he's like, and like he tosses it back, and maybe Ciampa's in the ring, and like Ciampa catches the shirt, and
That'd be
Johnny
nice.
turns around and gets destroyed.
You see, I was thinking it might go a different
Do
way,
some
which
sort
I
of
think
payoff
would be,
with that shirt thing.
which I think would be kind of funnier as like a little like psych out, which is she does that and goes to throw the shirt at him, and he realizes this time, ducks, it hits Andrade in the face, and he's just and super kicks Andrade for just like a little fun part in the match. But that would be cool too. But I could see them then having their blow off match at WrestleMania,
And then one getting drafted to Raw, and one to SmackDown.
Yeah, because they've both been on NXT for a while.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah, but that would be real good. And then it sets up also Aleister Black versus Adam Cole for this upcoming pay-per-view. And then you could lead to Aleister Black versus Andrade. Aleister Black would probably win against Adam Cole, continuing saying that he is undefeated in singles action on NXT.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what they're going to do with the tag titles. I think they might do another tag triple threat.
Maybe. I think it might be, I think it's going to be Authors of Pain versus, I think they might do a Fatal 4-Way again. Or a Fatal 4-Way, because I think they'll do Authors of Pain, maybe Authors of Pain, Undisputed Era, Insanity, and then throw the Street Profits in there.
Yeah,
because I think Street Profits are going to get shot, or based on the fact they're beating up jobbers, they had that promo saying that 2018 is going to be their year. I think they're going to have a rocket strapped to them. Maybe not to win the titles, but to at least be in that title match. Hunt. Yeah, like so that way they're in the title match for the WrestleMania takeover.
And they called out Undisputed Era, so it would make sense for them to match. I said triple threat because honestly, it completely slipped my mind about Sanity because I doubt it, but I'm really hoping for a bunch of call-ups to fill in the Royal Rumble. Because I'm hoping for Roddy Strong to show up in the Royal Rumble. I'm hoping for at least some of Sanity, like Eric Young and Killian Dane, to show up in the Royal Rumble. And I'm also hoping for Cassius Ohno to show up in the Royal Rumble. I would love for those three surprises to show up.
I don't think any of them are going to happen. Maybe Roddy Strong, but then what do you do with him for WrestleMania? And what do you do with Sanity? Do you debut them on SmackDown and maybe have them pose a threat to the Bludgeon Brothers?
Or the New Day?
The New Day, I don't know.
We could do a number of things with either of them. But I would like to see any of those guys come up, just put them into storylines. You could always put Roddy Strong or Cassius Ohno or someone on SmackDown or Raw and try to put them in a hunt for U.S. or Intercontinental Championship to start off. I mean, they may do something similar as they've done in the past, where they have like a 7 or 8 man ladder match for usually the Intercontinental Championship. But you could do that for the U.S. title this year, especially with all the hooey going on with Ziggler walking away. And that's one way it could end. It could be a match in which it ends in final round of the tournament that ends in a draw, and then everyone tries to lay claim to it and leads to that. And you could have some of these new guys go in there.
I don't know.
It'd be nice, but who knows? And I'm guessing we might also see Killian Dane versus Lars Sullivan at the next takeover.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, that just about does it for the wrestling news. Have you heard about anything else that you wanted to talk about with wrestling?
Wasn't there more developments with Jericho and Omega? I heard was there more stuff that happened in New Japan with Jericho and Omega?
Omega in an interview recently stated that he's hoping that with this match, with one of the reasons he wanted to do this match, not only because it's going to be a great match, but apparently he's hoping to try and get more crossover relations between WWE and New Japan through this match with Wrestle Kingdom.
That'd be cool.
And we do know for a fact that Jericho is not only going to be at Wrestle Kingdom, but also at the event immediately after Wrestle Kingdom, which is more or less their Raw after Mania, as they describe it. Oh. So we don't know how long Jericho's going to be sticking around New Japan for.
Maybe just the 2 matches. Maybe he loses, and then he wants a rematch and loses the rematch.
Yeah, it's possible.
So
yeah, and as Big Super pointed out, they've done random NXT calls for the Rumble before, which is kind of what I'm hoping for.
I have no problem with NXT call-ups. My only problem is, if you're going to call somebody up, have a plan for them. Because if you don't have a plan for them, they're dead in the water. I'm looking at you, Ascension.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, they kind of had a plan for Ascension, but that didn't work out. But also look at like Tyler Breeze. They didn't really know what to do with Tyler Breeze when he came up, and then he got in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, they had a bit of an idea to start off, but then it was like, all right, we're going to plan this for now. But what about this? We'll get to that later. And then later came and they were like, well, crap.
And also look at Bailey.
True.
Like they came up with Bailey. It's so easy. How do you screw up Bailey? How do you lose the momentum that Bailey gained in NXT? She was basically the female John Cena, and you kind of screwed it up.
I did not hear. Oh no, yeah, I did remember hearing about Daniel Cormier messing around with Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes on Twitter, as Big Super pointed out, which is he was, I believe, making fun of the Young Bucks and the Hung Bucks, the Young Bucks and Hangman Page, their match at Final Battle. He was making fun of it because it was just a lot of things like all of them trying to drop kick each other at the same time. So 6 men trying to do drop kicks at the same time. And people like the Young Bucks being like, people enjoy what we do. It's drawing money. I also saw Dave Meltzer get involved in it, which I thought this was hilarious, and I haven't mentioned before, and I want to talk about it briefly. Dave Meltzer had the audacity to say, what you guys do is not professional wrestling. Professional wrestling in the United States is usually built upon characters, storylines, and in-ring psychology. And what you're doing, yes, it could be like an offshoot, similar to how you have like alternative and heavy metal and things like that, which are offshoots of rock and roll. What you do could be considered an offshoot of pro wrestling, but don't call it pro wrestling because it's not pro wrestling.
Meltzer said that about the Young Bucks?
Or not Meltzer. Sorry. Wow. Not Meltzer.
Yeah, you said Meltzer. I'm like,
whoa,
what?
Yeah. Sorry. Completely wrong. Not Meltzer. Vince Russo.
Oh, who
yeah, and he was saying this about them. Oh, well, here's my favorite part, because Ricochet was getting him doing with it, and I believe it was Nick Jackson just simply responded with, "I'm being told about in-ring psychology by the man who invented the Viagra on a pole match."
And the Judy Bagwell on a pole match, and the man who
forklift Judy Bagwell on a
forklift match, and the man who decided it was a good idea to put the World Heavyweight Championship, the WCW Championship, on David Arquette.
Yeah, he did that. That's true. And he was.
You want to know how bad an idea that was? David Arquette himself even said, "This is not a good idea. Don't do this."
Yep.
And he did it anyway.
Because he'll show them, right?
Which is why, if anybody ever gets pissed off at David Arquette for that, they shouldn't, because David Arquette knows wrestling, he respects wrestling, and he didn't want that championship because he knew that he didn't deserve it, and that he shouldn't have it because that's nowhere near his world or his realm, and he respected the business too much. But Vince Russo didn't give a crap. He saw a chance to maybe make some headlines and put it on him anyway.
And to be fair, he tried his best after that.
Yeah, and he did. He did.
But yeah, that about wraps it up for wrestling, which will now bring us over to the video game side of things. And one thing I wanted to talk about briefly for personal experience, which is kind of a combination of the two. For Christmas, I got WWE 2K18, and the career mode is fun, and also it's terrible.
Fun and terrible.
The gameplay is fun, and some of the storyline and the way it works can be interesting. But then it's things like, oh, hey, you need to go out there and attack Sami Zayn, and then you go out there and it's Dean Ambrose you're attacking, and then you get in the backstage and Samoa Joe is like, good job beating up Sami Zayn, and I'm like, but I attacked Dean Ambrose, not Sami Zayn. And then next week you're supposed to be in a 2-on-1 handicap match, and it's you and Goldust attacking Dean Ambrose from behind with R-Truth coming to his rescue. And then they're like, oh, we want you to form a tag team with someone, and you're going to be the new DX or NWO. And then as soon as you form that tag team, they're like, well, never mind that.
So it's just awful, basically.
The storyline is
that
awful.
Explains why a lot of the guys who normally do like My Career Mode on YouTube are not doing My Career Mode, and they're like trying to do other modes in WWE 2K18.
Yeah, and it seems like the way they try to do the storyline, from what I've seen, all tries to drive towards literally one end game, at least if you're on Raw, and I'm just kind of like, eh. Yes, and as Big Super points out, you talk to the same bouncer to get your car every single week.
Hey, dude's got to make a living, even if it means that his nightly wage basically just covers his gas money to get to the next town.
True. Although, I have to say, one of my favorite things about it is there was one point where I did such a good job in a match for a pay-per-view that the producer told me, you did a good job on giving you the weekend off, Saturday and Sunday. And it's like,
That's not realistic.
today is Sunday, and I literally just finished working.
See, that's a joke because wrestlers don't get the weekends off ever.
And there are some things that are
I swear to God, if you ever told a wrestler that, or if a wrestler ever, if like, say anybody played that on Up Down Down and saw that, they would probably friggin' laugh their asses off because of how ridiculous that is.
Yep. And there's something else I wanted to mention about it that I thought was ridiculous that I'm blanking on. But the part that I had just gotten to was the part where there's the Money in the Bank match, in which, like other games, you're given objectives. And if you don't complete all the objectives, which include use a ladder as a weapon on someone, easy enough, perform an OMG moment in the match, a little bit difficult, but thankfully doable. Doing a move off your finisher off the top of a ladder is considered an OMG move. And 3, win the match. Take a guess how many times it took me to beat that match.
10 times.
That's exactly right, actually, 10 times. Because my character at this point is an overall 59. And the other opponents in the match were Roman Reigns. Dean Ambrose.
You know what your problem was?
Sami Zayn. John Cena. And, wow, why am I blanking? And Braun Strowman. You ever hear of this guy, Braun Strowman? He's really hard to knock down.
You see what your problem is? I know your problem is. You know what your problem is?
What's that?
You didn't spend the extra $5 to get that My Careers Kickstart, My Player Kickstarter.
You
gotta buy those microtransactions if you want to advance in the game, bruh.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, and that reminds me of another thing that was fun. They have side quests in the game.
That's hilarious what Big Stupid just said.
Yeah. Well, here's something similar to that. Well, not in that necessarily that similar, but similar to the logic of what Big Stupid has said.
Say what he said.
Him saying that he saw a guy talk to The Rock in the backstage about beating up The Rock in the ring. I came across at one point in the game Braun Strowman, and he gave me a side question about how Curtis Axel had beaten him up and injured his back and couldn't beat up Curtis Axel, so he wanted me to do it for him. Okay, next week, I go in the backstage, I find Curtis Axel, I beat him up. And I talk to Braun Strowman, and he says, every week I see him walking around, it makes me angrier. And I'm like, he's got protection, it has to wait. And I'm like, but I beat him up, and I already did the objective. Come back the next week, do the same thing. Okay, so I do the same thing, and I beat him. Oh, I'm getting tired of him walking around. I literally beat him up twice already, bro.
2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row.
Do you have eyes, sir?
Yeah,
or
seriously.
ears? Because word of mouth should have gotten around to you.
Exactly. At the very least, by this week, you should have heard about last week's. And I've already done the deed a second time. And it really bothered me because it was going to get me to the next level. But because it wouldn't let me, I had to abandon the quest because it just kept going over and over again.
I think this has pretty much helped me to decide that I will not play My Career when I start playing WWE 2K18.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I like about it is I love all the customizable options, especially for like the My characters and stuff like that. But that's why someone that you also know, oh, I don't know him personally, you know him more on a personal level, Chris Danker of Dank Ops. Excuse me.
The Dank.
He has switched over his My Career, because once he beat the main storyline, it just starts throwing you in 6-man tag matches and stuff again. So he's done his own thing where he put Chris Danger into a universe mode and is treating that like the My Career, but it doesn't seem to have worked out too well for him, because literally the first show, he does a call out as Universal Champion to any open challengers, and Aleister Black comes out and beats him for the title. And then the next week, he gets his rematch for the title, and as he's finally getting an upper hand on Aleister Black, the Authors of Pain come in and attack him and get him disqualified. And apparently Aleister Black is only Universal Champion, but has the Authors of Pain as his lackeys. At least those are the first 2 episodes that I've seen.
At least it's a good story.
It is a good story. And I would not mind seeing Aleister Black make his Raw debut and just black mass kick whoever the Universal Champion is and win the title.
Yeah, right.
I would not mind that. Vince, you could go ahead and book it.
Yeah. Hey Vince, I hear that Brock's contract is up tomorrow. I've got an idea.
Oh man, that's
And
great.
hello to Lady Scope in the chat. Yeah, once again, I am sick. So I've had a cold all week, but it really kicked in yesterday, and so I sound like a 80-year-old woman who chain smokes and gambles at the slots in Vegas every morning.
Sounds about right. Oh, quick side note. Another thing I got to do this week. I watched the Kevin Owens 365.
Oh, nice. I thought we were moving on to video games, but
just one quick thing I wanted to bring up. Let me ask you this quickly. Did you like Jericho and Owens match for the U.S. title at WrestleMania this year?
Yeah. It should have been for the Universal Championship, but yeah.
Yeah. Do you know who didn't like that match?
Chris Jericho.
Vince McMahon.
Why?
I don't know, but in it, he's talking about how he thought the match was okay, but he wanted to check with Vince, and he goes and talks with Vince, and it's literally, so Vince, what'd you think? And Vince just looks at him with his head down and everything and goes, no, I didn't like it. And then just starts flat out ignoring Kevin Owens. He's just like...
Vince. Oh, Vince.
Yep.
Crazy Uncle Vince.
Yep. Oh, yeah. But anyway, yeah, you're right. Big Stupid Black, Aleister Black with the Authors of Pain as his heaters. That's a license to print money. That would be insane.
Yep.
But anyway, moving on to fully into the video game section. Very quick Overwatch news. Nothing really new with Overwatch except for the game director, Jeff Kaplan, apparently did a live stream. Yeah, a live stream on Twitch.
I've seen a couple of highlights from it, and it's hilarious.
For 9 hours the stream went on. He didn't do it all at once. It was scenes that they put together, but a 9-hour long stream of Jeff Kaplan just like sitting in front of a Yule log.
I think he like read a newspaper at one point.
Yeah, he like read a newspaper.
The boom mic fell into his face at one point.
Yeah.
He had to pretend that he wasn't that he wasn't living mad.
Yep.
That he was gonna kill the production assistant who was holding it.
Oh man, so good. Very funny. Laserscope says, so when's the show getting renamed to Coffee Talk?
I am feeling very verklempt. I'm very verklempt. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe it.
But moving on with video game news, you being sick might not be the only thing that's wrong with you, according to the World Health Organization. Yeah, and
I can quit anytime I like.
Yeah. In recent news, they've apparently given out their preliminary list for 2018 of diseases and conditions and things like that. And one of the things that they've listed is something called gaming disorder, which is more or less saying extreme gaming addiction. And it is being classified in the same category if it goes on to the full actual list instead of a potential. Classified in the same list as alcoholism, drug use, drug addiction, and gambling addiction.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, part of me understands and is for it because there are those people where they do nothing but play video games. They don't hold down a job or anything.
Yeah, they're called YouTubers anyway. But
hey, I used to do that for a living.
I'm kidding.
But no, there are people who like, especially like college students who don't have to worry about like paying rent and all that stuff, so they have internet access and everything, but it's like they do nothing but play games all the time. I mean, I was almost kind of sort of maybe a little bit like that, but
yeah, I've heard people recently bragging about doing things like playing for like 10 hours straight or 8 hours straight or something like that.
Yeah, 8 or 10 hours straight. What kind of people do that?
Yeah.
I totally didn't do that 10 years ago.
Yeah, and I'm like, I used to do that and I missed it, so.
Yeah. If by like 10 hours you mean like 14 and I maybe went to pee a little bit and, eat food once or twice.
Yeah. Oh, and Big Stupid, just so you know, you don't have to worry. They didn't say anything about people addicted to watching game addicts play games. You're in the clear there. Now, they may bring up something about watching people talking about games and wrestling, but that isn't 100% sure yet. And Laserscope says that he's not sure that he agrees, though all of those are escapist methods.
True.
Yeah, I mean, I personally would say that I am kind of addicted to video games because I love playing video games, and whenever I have a free moment, I can. My wife can attest to this.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, last night when she fell asleep at roughly 8:30, I took out my Vita and started playing 2K18 on it for a little while. just any chance I could get to try and play a game, I will take advantage of.
Just hook it into my veins,
Yeah,
says
seriously.
Big Stupid.
Just give me some straight Suikoden. Come on, right here. Every single podcast.
We're back live now.
Woo! We're back live.
I just gotta make sure that we're recording on Audacity, and still we are good.
Alright, sweet. We're all set. Laserscope says, Vita, local or remote play, such an underrated system. I agree, very underrated system. And what I actually do is I do remote play through the Vita for my PS4, but I don't do the local connection where it connects directly to the PS4. I do through internet because my internet speed is faster than that speed, and I'm able to play faster. So I do that, and as I've mentioned on Twitter and stuff, I started picking up, when I don't have a good connection, playing Suikoden 2, a game, one of my favorite games of all time, which you could get for the same price as the PlayStation, or as the WWE Network, for $9.99 on your Vita, and be able to play it whenever, wherever, and you could pause at any point, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And yeah, technical difficulties, Big Stupid, but to be fair, this mic is very fickle, and the USB cord, if it gets tapped, or if there's even a vibration, it disconnects from the mic, which is why I want new mics. And that's also why I always have, when I'm doing my gameplay streams, why I have the mic overhead, so where there's no chance of gravity just taking the cord out of the microphone.
There you go. Alright, but yeah, so that's about it as far as the World Health Organization stuff goes. And from here, there's a little bit of a topic that you brought up to my attention, which is that there was apparently a swatting attack. That is your phone. Where is my phone?
Yeah, you brought it up on your phone to read off?
No, I didn't. I was just trying to find where my phone went.
Oh.
Anyway, that aside, there was apparently a unfortunate swatting event earlier today where there was someone who dared another person online while they were playing Call of Duty World War II.
Well, this is what happened actually. Yeah. The situation was a few of these guys. Apparently, two guys played a wage game in Call of Duty World War II for like $1.50 or something. I don't know what the exact amount was, but one guy was supposed to pay the other one, and I guess he didn't, and so they were arguing with each other on Twitter via mentions and direct messages, and so the one guy got in touch with one of his friends, who is known to be somebody who calls bomb threats and swats other people, and wanted him to swat this other guy. And this other guy was egging them on, daring them to swat him, and gave them an address in Wichita, Kansas. But that address was not his address. So this guy, who the other guy had asked to swat, this guy swatted that address. And there was a 28-year-old man in the house. The SWAT were banging on the door. He had no idea what was going on. He went to answer the door, and one of the SWAT members panicked because the man that they thought was a murderer and holding hostages was opening the door right in front of them, and he got an itchy trigger finger and pulled the trigger, and the 28-year-old man died in the hospital. Mm-hmm. He was pronounced dead at the hospital.
It's a very unfortunate event.
This is something that I believe we've even talked on this podcast about. This was going to happen. Exactly, eventually, something like this was going to happen. If you keep swatting people, eventually somebody's going to get hurt severely, and somebody's going to get killed. And this time, it wasn't even a gamer. It was somebody who had nothing to do with it, which makes it even worse.
An innocent civilian that was not involved at all.
That's why we as a gaming community and just internet people in general, we just have to be better. We have to stop. This toxicity has to stop. Just because you have the veil of anonymity or believed or perceived anonymity because it's the internet does not give you the right to ruin people's lives like this or take people in or indirectly take people's lives. These guys all should go to jail. I think all three of them are complicit in this killing. If it's not murder, since they didn't do it, but it could be manslaughter for the two men who conspired to do the SWAT, and it could be involuntary manslaughter for the guy who provided the false address.
Yep, exactly.
The guy who did the swatting, he said in a tweet that was deleted, but it's the internet. Once it's up, it gets captured. It lives forever. He said that because he didn't pull the trigger, and he isn't a SWAT person as his profession, that it wasn't his fault the guy got killed, and that he wasn't guilty and that he wasn't a murderer, which is bullshit.
He's the one who called it in.
Yeah,
he's the reason it happened. All three of those people.
Because honestly,
that it happened.
It doesn't matter. You caused that situation to happen. You are a direct cause of that situation, and just because it was an innocent person doesn't mean that you are innocent either, just because somebody didn't know, because you were intending to have this other gamer swatted, and it could have been that other gamer that got killed.
And it also really bothers me, this story in particular, because one thing it reminds you of is the person who passed away because of this was 28 years old. I personally am 29 years old. I have a wife. I have 3 kids. What if it was something similar age and everything that happened to me? Then at the very least, my wife and my kids lose their husband and father, their main support financially, and would probably end up losing the house, and lives would be devastated. At the worst, something could have happened, and it could have affected more than just me. This is not something you play around with. No. These are people's lives. You do not do this kind of crap.
We play video games as an escape, as a means of entertainment and enjoyment, and we play with other people, hopefully to enjoy that hobby with others. You should never let a personal dispute or anger over a video game go to that extent of wanting to ruin somebody's life and potentially have somebody's life be taken from them. We are better than that as gamers, and we should all treat each other with respect and kindness. Yelling, cursing people out, getting pissed off, trash talking, that's all fine in video games. I mean, it's going to happen. But, sexual assault verbally, racial verbal slurs, and doxing and swatting, all of that is too far, and it has to stop.
I mean, you may say that it's not your fault, you didn't pull the trigger. You made the phone call that made the person go there and pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Your friend is the one who convinced you to do it, to make you make the phone call to send the guy there to pull the trigger. The other guy gave you the address. All 3 of them are responsible for this, and all 3 of them should pay in some way or another.
This has got to stop, because now people are losing their lives. And we knew that people were going to lose their lives if this kept happening.
You could say it wasn't your fault all you want. It's 3 people who made a huge mistake that resulted in the death of another person. All 3 of you should face jail time at the very least.
And our deepest condolences go with the family of the victim.
Yes. Terrible fun.
Yeah, it's a rough way to end the podcast, but it needed to be brought up. It needed to be discussed, and I mean, Laserscope says it's a reason why he's never been interested in Xbox Live Arcade, XBLA, or Xbox Live. Online gaming has been fun. It's provided me with a lot of fun moments. I've made a lot of friends, and there are toxic people there. I mean, I don't know if it was Xbox, because I still see that vitriol in PC gaming. I see it in Sony gaming. It's everywhere. But you got to take it with a grain of salt, and you got to ignore it and not engage it.
Yeah. It's a game.
And you shouldn't be the one perpetrating that anger and that abuse. But people are losing their lives, and it's time we stop. We got to treat people decent. Treat others like they're actual human beings, because they are. No matter, just because there's some disconnected voice on a console, some half a continent, or half a country or half a world away does not mean they are not a human being with feelings and emotions and people who love them.
Exactly. But that about does it for us this week. A little bit of a sad note here, but we will hopefully pick it up a little bit as we end the show this week. Too much freedom. If people don't prove they deserve it, then take it away from them. Exactly right. You should lock them up. But yeah, that does it for us this week. We hope you enjoyed our talking about all these different topics, despite the somber ending to it. If you like what we did, if you didn't catch us live here on Twitch, which every week that we do go live, we usually tweet it out. My Twitter handle is DMurph_42. Yours is
L_Murpho.
And like I said, we normally tweet out when we go to come up to do the shows live. You can find that and also our on-demands at twitch.tv/L_Murpho. You could also find us on YouTube for the on-demand at YouTube/LMurphoReel. We already mentioned our Twitter handles. If you listen to us in audio form or would like to, you could find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and everywhere else you could find podcasts. And if you do go and listen to us there, or even if you don't and you want to go check it out, make sure to rate, review, and subscribe. Helps with the algorithms and our numbers, helps us get noticed, which would be better for us, more eyes on us, more people notice my great booking. And if you have any questions, comments, trivia ideas, anything you want us to answer on the show, like personal favorite matches or wrestlers or anything like that, or video games, you could shoot us an email at supergrapplebros@gmail.com. We'll get that there and we'll be able to answer it on the show for you guys. And that about does it for us, I believe.
Yes.
And we will once again leave you off with our new segment of a kayfabe news headline to end the show.
Kayfabe news headline of the week.
Yes, kayfabe news headline of the week. And this week, it is transcripts reveal X-Pac's educated feet never even finished high school. That does it for us this week.
Yeah, it's true. It's damn true.
Yes. So I have been your main host this week, DMurph.
And I have been your very sick, very verklempt host, L_Murpho.
Yes. And we will catch you all next week.
Pieces. Deuce. The deucey deuce. Later, guys.
Bye.
Shut up and sit down.